Metro Atlanta woman could not pay her dues, so her homeowners association cleaned out her bank account.
They took all of it. It made me feel empty. Like, I'm already going through this.
Innocent victims of a wrong house raid now demanding the FBI be held accountable.
1 second I'm asleep, next thing I know, I have a gun pointed in my face.
A case of identity theft nearly cost a veteran everything. When systems fail, people pay the price. We trace the damage, expose the truth, and fight to fix it. This is Uncovered by Atlanta News First Investigates. A Fairburn woman's bank account cleaned out by her homeowners association while she recovered from chemotherapy. And it was completely legal. Atlanta News First investigative reporter Anastasia Olmos reveals it's just one of many cases.
Ayanna Fuller loves her job.
Oh, I drive the school bus.
It's the one thing that makes her light up like this. Though her doctors say she should be taking it easy.
They give me 3 years to live. Just 3.
Discovering she had a rare blood cancer about 2 years ago.
I'm not going to stop. I can't stop.
She can't stop.
Bills, bills, bills.
Because the bills don't stop.
When they told me, oh, well, you're supposed to go on disability. Don't go to work now. But I'm like, well, wait a minute. I'm keeping my house.
Ayanna bought her home in the Lester Point community of Fairburn, Georgia in 2007.
What did it mean to you to be on there?
Oh, my God, you'll make me cry while you on the achievement. I came from boy on the projects. I was just so proud of myself. I finally did it.
After her diagnosis in 2022, Ayanna went on family medical leave at work and made calls to her loan providers and her homeowners association asking for deferments until she was better.
I had extensive chemo that first year causing stage 3. So I couldn't work. I was kind of worried because I knew they could take my house.
Ayanna says with proof of her treatment, the banks deferred her house and car payments, but she says the HOA still required dues at $350 a year, and the fees began stacking up.
So I said, okay, let me pay y'all at least $50 or $100 a month. November, I got real sick again, and I had to go back into the hospital, so I couldn't go back to work.
Ayanna says once she fell behind again,
they took all of it.
She received an alert from her bank. The HOA's lawyer garnished money from her bank account.
When you saw that, you were in bed?
I was in bed sick. I had just came from chemo, matter of fact.
$828.54 and a $125 legal fee, overdrafting her account $855.
It made me feel empty. Like, I'm already going through this.
We couldn't find contact information for the HOA, but the management company they hired told us that they enforce the HOA rules. And once a homeowner owes money, they must then pay through the HOA's lawyers. That's the Dunlap Gardner law firm. So we called.
Is there any sort of means for people that are struggling to pay their bills to try to ask for payment plans or anything like that?
Attorney Wes Dunlap declined an on-camera interview, but told me over the phone that they're always willing to negotiate and set up payment plans if the HOA board approves. Court records show Ayanna is one of 10 homeowners in the Lester Point community with financial garnishments from January 2023 to June 2025.
To do a garnishment, you first have to get a judgment from the court.
It's a legal option for HOAs to collect debts, but Atlanta real estate attorney Randy Williams says sometimes HOA board members aren't involved enough in the entire process.
Property management companies do make it too robotic.
This is what they're asking for now.
In July, Ayanna received a bill from the management company for nearly $1,400, due August 1st.
I don't know what I'm going to do now. I have learned in counseling not to overthink things because I get too mad, I get sick.
The management company and the lawyer could not comment on Ayanna's case.
Wow, Anastasia, I remember when you were digging into this story, you were telling me about it. We sit next to each other in our office. Man, I was completely shocked this was legal. How'd you learn about this case?
So people who've been following our reporting throughout our HOA stories will know that the story right before this one was in the same exact community where residents were claiming they were getting mail every single day of fines. They couldn't pay on the portal. And so we went through those issues. And when I was going through the court documents and looking at what kind of lawsuits are taking place in this community, there was one that said garnishments, and it said Atlanta Public Schools, and that caught my eye. You know, taking a wage from a school employee, why is the HOA doing this, right? And then that's when I dove into, you know, how they go about these bank garnishments or even wage through your paycheck. And that's how I found this character. I wrote down her address and stopped by her house.
And once this story aired, it resonated with so much of our audience, many people reaching out, wanting to help her. Any updates there?
Right, that's kind of the power of what we do, right, is when the people watch and feel moved to help. And so thankfully in this situation, there was people who reached out to us and wanted to help. So when that happened, I got a couple emails from just, you know, viewers throughout Georgia, and they just said, I want to help. How do you put me, can you put me in touch with her? So the garnishment had not come off of her ledger yet, but she still got that $1,400 bill. So with that garnishment taken off, she would owe about two different payments for her dues. And so that cost came to about $700 and some. And so I was able to connect her with the viewer who was reaching out, and they ended up paying it, that and some, to make sure that she had her bills covered.
It seems like we don't run out of HOA topics, right? Because so many of these stories are different from the last one, but at the heart, the true theme seems to be that the question of HOA oversight. So most of our audience is gonna wanna know, what's happening at the legislative level? Can you tell us if there's any changes there?
So these stories we've been doing for months, as you've mentioned, and each one has been a new issue, and nobody knows where to go for help. And lawmakers have told me that they are hearing from their constituents every single day about HOA issues. Specifically in the Senate, they have a couple bills that did not die in last session. So one, Donzella James, one senator, she is trying to bring back some of those bills. But the one that seems to be getting a lot of traction would be Senator Brass's. He's got the SB 361, which looks at specifically bringing in the Secretary of State's office as an oversight entity. So HOAs would have to register their technically nonprofits with the state. They'd have to disclose their financial documents. And so any enforcement of, you know, not complying and things would also go through the state Secretary of State's office. That's one of the bills right now that they're talking about. The thing is that people should read their bylaws, read your covenants, know what the responsibilities are in your HOA, what can your board do, what should you do, and if you have any discrepancies with your HOA, call, email, negotiate, do whatever you can before it gets to a possible garnishment or a lien on your property. Just try to rectify any fines before it gets to that point.
A resident HOA expert. Thanks so much, Stassi.
Of course.
You can report your homeowners association issues to Atlanta News First Investigates. Text HOA to the number on your screen to share details about your experience and help us track and report HOA practices in Georgia.
FBI agents raid the wrong house. The family still scarred years later. Atlanta News First investigates their struggles to find a solution.
A 7-year-old boy sleeping in his Atlanta home, suddenly awakened by the sound of a flashbang grenade, opens his eyes to see an FBI SWAT team in his bedroom. Atlanta News First Chief Investigator Brendan Keefe uncovers one family's story of a wrong house raid.
Police, search warrant, come to the door!
Innocent families. From Ohio
Police, search warrant!
to Missouri,
Police, search warrant!
I just don't understand how they could confuse the addresses.
Kansas,
Guns drawn, there's about 15 cop cars. They're all hiding behind the doors with the guns pointed at my house. They literally came here on a whim thinking that I killed someone.
She and her boyfriend were held in cuffs for an hour before police finally let them go.
Georgia,
Sheriff's officers, warrant!
and this home in Atlanta.
I don't feel as if any kid should go through what I went through.
1 second, you're sound asleep. The next second, the FBI is in your bedroom.
1 second I'm asleep, next thing I know, I have a gun pointed in my face.
Gabe Watson was just 7 years old in 2017 when the FBI raided the wrong house in the middle of the night. Did you scream out for your mom? What did you do?
I was actually crying for my mom. I was just crying, hiding under my blankets, holding my hands in the air.
I would fight a lion with my bare hands to protect my child.
Was your hand on the gun or close to it?
At this point, my hand was on the door because they're pulling on the door. The guns is right here, right at my side.
And I was just right here like, please, can I get my son? Can I get my son? And he kept telling me to be quiet, shut up. And I look up, it's such a flashing light, and I just see SWAT, and I'm like, it can't be SWAT, it can't be SWAT.
Throw me down on the ground, on the floor right here. I was saying to myself, oh my God, I believe they got the wrong house.
The FBI did have a search warrant, but it was for an entirely different address, 3 doors down and across the street. This footage from Atlanta police securing the perimeter is the only video of the raid. You can see the FBI SWAT team walking out of the Martin home. The wrong address clearly visible on the mailbox by the police cars.
Moving down the road. They said we're moving down the road.
So we're not holding perimeter for them while they search?
They said they're moving down the road.
The agents went to the next block and raided the house that was on the original warrant. Your door was off the hinges, right?
It was.
You had no way to secure your home that night.
I spent the night on the couch facing that door because it was open.
And you had no idea what was coming next?
Didn't have any idea what was coming next.
So they knocked the door down, and yes, it was a shocking experience, but in the end, no one was hurt, and it didn't really cost you anything. What has this cost you?
This costed me my childhood, you know?
This is the FBI photo of the target house from earlier surveillance. And this is the Martins house the FBI SWAT team photographed the day before the raid. You went to court, and the court ruled in favor of the FBI.
Yes.
And then you went to the appeals court, and the appeals court ruled in favor of the FBI.
Yes.
And now we've gone all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, and they've taken the case.
They've taken the case. They've taken the case. And then I just think about my son, he's 7, and just the trauma he went through, and just for finally somebody just to hear us out, just hear us.
You know, we can't do anything about what happened to us, but we can stop it, hopefully, from happening to someone else.
Wow, Brendan, this is such a tremendous story. I want to talk about this child's youth, because when all of this happened in the Martin case, the son was 7 years old. This must have shaped his adolescence in some way.
It's actually shaped his whole life. It's actually been the majority of his life, because now it's been more than 7 years. So he's essentially almost 15 years old and still waiting for justice.
In this case, there has been some kind of updates. What can you tell us?
Well, this went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, as you heard in the story, and the justices came back unanimously and said, no, this cannot stand in terms of a policy or case law. They've sent it back down to the lower courts. They can now sue the FBI and hold the FBI accountable.
This is something you have great expertise on, so I want to talk about it a little further. But a lot of times when we're reporting on these types of stories, we learn that police can't be sued. I want you to be able to explain that further. Why do we see that often?
There's different immunities. The biggest one is qualified immunity. That applies to the individual officers or agents. The whole idea is that an agent or officer shouldn't be making a split-second decision in a life and death matter and worry that they're going to lose their house if they make the wrong decision, or lose their retirement or their livelihood. It's very difficult to sue them. In this case, it was difficult to sue the federal government when they actually raid the wrong house. And if there's no accountability, it means there's no disincentive. There's no incentive for them to make sure they get it right next time.
As always, I learned so much from you. Great reporting. Thanks, Brendan. A veteran still fighting decades after his service ended. Still ahead, we're uncovering how a case of identity theft nearly cost him everything. Georgia ranks second in the nation for identity theft. It's a problem that could result in serious financial hardship for some. Investigative reporter Liz Owens reveals that for military veterans, it could mean they lose everything.
Zara Sanders served his country both in peacetime
Attack on military targets in Iraq and Kuwait.
And wartime.
These attacks continue as I speak.
Impact. Boom! There's a hit.
I was 19 when I went in. I went in 89, 82nd Airborne.
An accident in the air
Till I got hurt.
Forced the Gulf War veteran to take an early exit from his military career.
My parachute collapsed and I slammed to the ground. Fractured my T11 and T12.
He spent the next 15 years working in the civilian world until the Department of Veteran Affairs finally agreed
I was missing so many days of work due to my injury.
He couldn't work, period, in 2016. As his condition worsened, the VA eventually doubled his benefits.
It went from like almost a little bit over 4,000 to 1,900.
Because he couldn't hold a full-time job.
9 years to get to where you were, and then someone steals your identity, and just like that, your benefits are slashed.
Yes.
You're on the verge of losing your home.
Yes, ma'am.
On March 10th, the VA sent him this letter. We received information from the Social Security Administration which indicates earned wages above the poverty threshold for calendar year 2023. Therefore, entitlement unemployability is discontinued March 1st, 2025.
When's the last time you worked?
2000, I want to say 2019.
So how did you make too much money?
I don't know, someone stole my identity.
Sanders had no idea someone even stole his identity.
I thought they made a mistake. I thought it was somebody else.
Until a month after the VA cut his benefits when the IRS sent him this letter in April. Someone may have attempted to impersonate you by using your name and taxpayer ID number to file a tax return.
So I talked to the person for Social Security, and they told me the steps to take. And I went through the steps, went through the IRS, sent the papers to the VA.
Despite the letter from the IRS and filing a police report,
why do you think the VA is not accepting the paperwork you have?
The VA wouldn't reinstate his benefits.
I don't know the procedures of the VA. I went to the VSO to get help, and that's why I was informed the paper wasn't good enough.
The letter from the VA lays out the procedure for ensuring veterans aren't taking advantage of the system. The VA conducts a computer match every year with the Internal Revenue Service and Social Security Administration. One of the purposes of this match is to identify those veterans who receive service-connected compensation at 100% rate based on individual unemployability, but who have wages or income from self-employment. It also lays out the procedure for making sure the information the VA receives from the IRS and Social Security is correct, which boils down to this: VA Form 21-4140. Sanders filled it out and mailed it back to the VA after he first got the notice he earned too much money to receive compensation at 100% rate back in November. He told them he couldn't work in 2023, but he couldn't explain on the form why the IRS and Social Security were paying him for earned wages. Again, the IRS didn't even notify him that someone was using his name and Social Security number until April of this year, after the VA cut his benefits in March due to him not being able to, quote, explain the earned wages and failing to provide the requested evidence. Sanders isn't the only veteran fighting to get his benefits back after someone used his identity to file with the IRS. The Federal Trade Commission found the same year the IRS and Social Security pinged Sanders for earning too much money. More than 38,000 other military consumers filed reports of identity theft, and cases of employment and wage-related fraud jumped more than 36%.
I have my ups and downs, you know. I have a lot of depression now because of this what's going on.
3 days after I-Team emailed the Department of Veteran Affairs, they responded stating this veteran's unemployability benefits had been restored and backdated to March 1st. Mr. Sanders submitted evidence from the IRS showing identity theft in a statement affirming he did not work in 2023. The same documents the VA first told him weren't good enough to prove his case.
What needs to be done?
I would say they do some type of investigation before they take a veteran's benefit, because when they take it, they put him in a whole different situation. If he's dealing with PTSD, that's going to aggravate it and make it worse. Try to find out if it's somebody using their identity, because I didn't know anything about nobody using my identity.
You can listen to all of our extended conversations on these stories right now on our podcast, Behind the Investigation. Just search Atlanta News First on your favorite podcast platform. You're watching Uncovered by Atlanta News First Investigates, a weekly hour-long investigative show with new episodes launching every Sunday at 7.